Welcome back to I'd Like to Unsubscribe. And today's episode, well, it's a tender one, folks. It is a real one. And we are talking about the comparison trap. I think anyone could actually relate to this episode, whether or not you're living with a chronic illness. But we are going to get real about why comparison just messes with our brains, literally, and how it can hijack our self-worth, and also really why it's especially brutal if you are living with a chronic illness. Because it's not just comparing your life to someone else's, right? It's actually comparing your limitations to someone's highlight reel. And don't worry, Britt and I are not here to wallow in this episode. We're just going to dig into what's underneath comparison and how does it link to shame and self-hatred, and what can we actually do to stop feeding that beast, because it's exactly what it is. So if you've ever horrifically spiraled because, I don't know, another sick content creator on IG just looked incredible while they were making their fermented kefir for their gut health and they were stretched out on a beach, while you are basically stuck horizontal and you're watching your third true crime doc of the day and looking like you literally rolled out of a dumpster, well then pull up a chair, because we are right there with you.
What if the life you planned vanished overnight? For Marissa and Britt, it was painful chronic conditions without cures. We lost everything: our health, independence, careers, and even our sense of self. But in the wreckage, we found something unexpected: a chance to rebuild. Welcome to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, the podcast for anyone feeling stuck, lost, traumatized, or just straight up over it. This isn't about surviving illness or trauma. It's about ditching the toxic beliefs holding you back and even daring to dream again. We're bringing real talk, hard-earned wisdom, lots of sarcasm, and practical tools to help you rise. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll remember, even in the darkest moments, hope is still alive. Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org, that's lupusne.org today.
Hey friends, and welcome back to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, where we unpack the emotional nonsense of life, and chronic illness, and why everyone on Instagram somehow has better lighting, better skin, and way more spoons than we do.
Oh, yes. Seriously. Is there a filter for thriving? Because I just didn't click on that one on
I missed
Instagram.
That one on IG.
Missed that download. So today, it hits y'all. It's such a real one. It's comparison, that scroll, the shame, the influencer with the perfect home and the cute dog, while I'm still barely feeding my children chicken nuggets and then napping on the pile of unfolded laundry, because I just can't. So it's that trap, and it steals my joy, it steals your joy, it's stealing our energy and our sense of worth. It's the one that whispers, hey, just want to let you know, you're not doing enough. Oh God, I love it. It's such a great one.
It really
and
is.
Even when my body is doing everything it can just to stay upright.
Yeah. I mean, so really, where do we dig in first, on this topic? Because it is so vast. And I think I just want to start by confessing, really, that, we chose this episode topic in response to, honestly, our own garbage. We are willingly calling ourselves out here because Britt and I have both been here, lived in this place. We didn't just visit for a couple of days. Britt, you and I... we have literally had vacation homes in the land of comparison, especially post-diagnosis.
Oh, for sure. And then we got salty at each other about whose house was bigger, in the land of comparison, right? Because you know the drill, okay? Don't act like you don't. You scroll, and then suddenly someone's posting about the dream job that they just got, the vacations, on Bali, and the hike they just took, or the 5K that they ran and now they're juicing for 3 days after. And you're like,
Hmm.
cool, 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 cool. I'm just like feeding myself today.
Yeah.
So yay
Yeah.
me.
Or I just made it through the day and I didn't cry today, and that was a
No,
victory.
that's a lot of my days. Let's be that's of the two of us, that's a that's a me. Hi, sorry, I'm the problem. But seriously, comparison is not just a bad habit. We all know, like no one's like, but I thought comparison was fine. It's not just a bad habit. It really is soul erosion. And when
Mm.
we start to look at it that way, it's like, ooh, okay, like tell me more. Because especially when you're sick, it's so bad for us because you're not just comparing lifestyles, you're comparing capabilities.
Mm.
And y'all, like, you're never going to come out on the end of that one being like,
Mm.
okay, 2 thumbs up, I'm doing great.
Yeah. No, that is brutal, like when you put it like that. Because you're comparing a body that's struggling and fighting to survive with a body that is working in perfect union and unison in the way that it was actually intended, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a fair fight in any way. And yet we do this type of comparison to ourselves all of the time. So
Yes.
really quick, I'm just going to come in like I normally do with a little bit of data. And
Boom.
I feel like today's data is honestly a real shocker. Because it's connected to us having the discipline to limit our interactions, especially on social media. So there was a 2023 study from the University of Pennsylvania, and it found that if we limit social media to 30 minutes or less a day, well, people had less anxiety, less depression, and less feelings of loneliness. And I mean, honestly, like why? Well, because we're not meant to see everyone else's highlight reel
Yes.
24/7. Like our brains were not designed for this. This is where
No,
that comparison trap just hits hard. And there's a
no.
way to stop it.
Yeah. You're right. Like, our brains were not designed for this. Our whole nervous systems really, like, we are not capable of this at all.
Yeah.
Psychologists talk about something called it's upward social comparison. And it's when we compare ourselves to people we perceive as doing better,
Mm.
right? But the kicker of it is that our brains don't just like look at that. They're like, I'm going to internalize that as full failure data.
Mm.
They like you're falling behind, and it's always the like, oh, then I'm not enough. It's not just looking at it, it's the internalization inside of us.
Yeah, and if you're already living, right, and you're feeling like your body is betraying you, well, that comparison, it's going to hit you hard. It's going to hit you completely different. And it turns just that everyday scrolling, honestly, into a horrific shame spiral.
Yeah, and if it's any wonder then that we're like, why do I feel anxious and like I'm behind and that everybody else is somehow acing their life,
Yeah.
While I'm Googling like how to meal prep with low histamine with zero executive functioning and like one usable wrist.
Yeah.
Like there,
I
there it
can eat
is.
these three things. What are the things I can do on a recipe for low histamine? Okay, good luck.
Oh my gosh. And like
Um,
chat literally be like, wow, thanks so much for sharing that. Like it's like even it's side eyeing me like, oh boy.
oof. I mean, and the truth is, like, honestly, has comparison ever motivated you? Like, I mean, it might for like a split second, right?
Mm,
But for a lot of us, it freezes us. And then
yes.
I think often we self isolate. I think it can also really kill our creativity because it shuts down any joy that we had in our body and our brain before we started like doing that doom scroll. And it becomes
Yeah.
like that quiet narrative in our heads that say, I'm never going to catch up to that person. I'm never going to have X. I'm never going to live that life. And like these are all the reasons why. I mean, none of it's based in truth. It's just, it is literally a spiral.
Yes. Oh, and spiritually, like what does that do to you? Because it says in Proverbs 14:30, a heart at peace gives life to the body, but
Mm.
envy rots the bones.
Mm.
Like whether you believe in the Bible or not, like that's science right there. Like literally now, like the scripture knew before science and technology ever caught up that like if you are in a comparison trap, it's going to not just affect you, but like it's going to affect your body.
Yeah. I mean, that verse, that was hitting hard because like, honestly, like we've lived it. Like When envy creeps in, like, it's not just staying in your thoughts, okay? It's everything that we're thinking has a relationship with our body and our physical being, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it sits there and it's getting into your joints, it's getting into your gut. Like, we already know anxiety and stress and the role that it plays, like, on our gut. It's getting into our relationships, like, literally.
Yeah.
So comparison can actually activate your HPA, right? Which is your, I know, like, hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, okay? Adrenals, huge. You need to know about these if you're living with a
Yeah.
chronic illness.
Yes.
And this actually can cause your body to release cortisol, which we know is a stress hormone. And as we've talked about before, chronic exposure to cortisol is going to lead to a wide variety of things, including you're going to have more inflammation, you're going to have more pain, your sleep is going to be of poor quality, you're probably going to get digestive issues, and
Yep.
it wreaks havoc on your hormones. So, and worst of all, like, honestly, it just makes all autoimmune systems worse. And
Yeah.
no one wants any of that, okay? Like, we have enough. So I didn't grow up with a lot of technology like we have today. When I grew up with my grandparents, I'm talking late 70s, early 80s, we still had rotary phones, okay? But today we are just bombarded with one manufactured life in front of us after another. And honestly, like, we are comparing ourselves and we are spiraling to things that aren't even real. Like, those Instagram stories, that TikTok, like, that's a manufactured space, right? It's showing the
Yeah.
best of the best. And we are making stories in our head that their life is real, they're healthier, they're happier, they have more joy, they have better, and just what it does is it just destroys you.
Yeah. And to, like, again, like, we really want you to understand, because when you're just like, oh, I mean, I'm just scrolling. Is it really hurting anybody? Like, we want you to understand the actual effect that this is having on you. Because we know from neuroscience that comparison lights up the same reward centers as addiction, y'all. Like, does that change your doom scrolling now? Like, social
Yeah.
media is designed to keep us hooked by triggering dopamine hits. Whenever we see, like, likes and, on our post and engagement and hearts, or in the reverse, to trigger then jealousy and then anger and sorrow when we don't get that
Yeah.
dopamine.
Yeah. And I think, it's chemical, right? And it's also spiritual, which
Yeah.
means like this is a real battle. And we're not weak for getting stuck in it. Like, we're humans. But God also invites us out of all of this, okay? So if you go to Galatians 6:4, it says, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to anyone else.
Ooh, yeah, without comparing. Yeah, that's it, right? Because comparison always makes you feel like you're not enough or too much. And that's not the voice of God ever, right? That's just the voice of shame.
Exactly. And talking about that shame specifically, I want to sit there for a second. Let's get real. Like, we don't just compare ourselves to the healthy people. Sometimes, like, I feel like in the chronic illness community, that deepest shame sometimes comes because we're comparing ourselves to other people who are sick. And it might be the first time we're ever seeing their Instagram, or their TikTok page or Facebook or whatever. So we're coming in at a certain segment of their story. We don't know, like, their whole history, okay? And that's what we're
Yeah.
basing everything on.
Ooh, girl, yeah, call that out. Yeah. Because it's true. Like, I'll see someone on Instagram and they may even have the same diagnosis as me, before, with like Hashimoto's. And I just thought that. And I'll look at them, right? And they're like juicing 3 times a day and they're doing yoga for an hour. They're also working full time, out of the house. And then they just went on a vacation, even if they're like building in margin for it. And they're somehow, I don't know if it's their makeup or their filters, but they like look glowy and ethereal, like while they're doing it. Like, oh, there's just like an over them. And I'm over here, celebrating that, I got the kids to school and I didn't cry while unloading the dishwasher. And I'm like, good on you, girl, today, Like,
Love that.
I can barely make dinner every night. Like, my husband has to do it. let's call it 100% of the time. Let's be real, like, and like, I'm not juicing, y'all. I'm not, like, do you know how long it takes to clean up from juicing? Like, no, sorry, I can't do it without collapsing. Guess I'm not doing that today. I, by doctor's orders, work out 10 minutes a day. Okay. Like, I'm not kidding you. It is 10 minutes a day. And my body is sometimes still being like, and have fun with that recovery tomorrow. Like, it's like a real jerk, right? And it feels, when I'm comparing it to that person, even with the same diagnosis, yeah, you're so right. Like, it does feel like failure stacked on failure.
Well, yeah, I think it's because you sit there long enough and you look long enough, right? You start asking yourself, like, why can't I be like him or her? Like,
yeah,
they seem like they're managing. What's wrong with me? By the time, the thing is, like, we start making up stories and scenarios in our head of their life that literally may not be rooted in reality in the slightest, people, okay?
Yeah.
See, like, if you catch me on a strong week, you're going to see me juicing in my stories. I love it. I also don't have kids, okay? That would take a lot of my bandwidth. But juicing literally helped me get out of a wheelchair. It helped me get off some of my meds. But what you aren't seeing is how oftentimes I'm still struggling the rest of the day. That juicer sits there for the rest of the day until I have the energy to clean it out.
Yeah.
You don't see how I have to hype myself up for an hour, just to get that energy to juice in the morning, and how plenty other areas of my life are literally on fire. Like, none of that gets shown in a 20-second reel. It just doesn't.
Yeah. We don't see the whole picture. Like, y'all, you don't see the whole picture of our lives. These reels are like, 20 seconds, a minute and a half, right? Like, that cannot be the whole picture. Yeah. And yet our brains are like, that's their whole lives. You're not seeing the breakdowns behind the camera. You're not seeing the flare-ups that we don't post about, or the post-vacation crashes when we go to talk somewhere, right? Or the disability benefits that, we may or may not be receiving. Nobody is seeing the support systems, right? That like enable any of this to even happen, it's, or the ones that we don't even have and we're trying to make up for, like it's really rough. And yet we look at that 20 seconds and we make it a lifetime.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to throw us all under the bus right now, because really, y'all, like, we're the worst. The tribe itself, the ones that we're all like, we're supposed to be there for each other. Like, we can be the worst offenders on this. Like, how many times have you given like helpful advice to someone about a diet or a lifestyle choice? Like, have you tried going gluten-free? And then you've compared that person's health and recovery based on whether they took your advice or not. And it's like, oh, well, if they would have gone gluten-free, they wouldn't have had that symptom. So it's on them. Like,
I tried.
Yeah, we tried to help, like, oh, that's on them. We're terrible mudslingers. Terrible.
I think that's honestly the takeaway here. I think on a foundational human level, like, we compare. It is what it is, as since the beginning of time. Before technology, even as a kid, I could recognize, obviously, that the other kids in my peer group at school, I knew who came from a wealthier family than me, who was healthy, who was a good athlete. Like, comparison happens, period. But today it is on such an unhealthy level, and it is in our face dozens, if not hundreds of times a day, depending how much we pick up our phone. So we're not even playing on an even level. We are comparing ourselves to so-called realities of other people that literally do not exist. Yeah. So if your mood, you feel like your mood is starting to be altered, and your day all of a sudden goes, in a bad turn after you're scrolling, and you feel like the progress that you are making isn't good enough, right? Because of something that is completely rooted in an illusion, right? As people with chronic illness, we need to be so protective of ourselves in this way. And these are not the things that are going to be healing and that are going to improve our health. I think we just have to really be honest that, like, these are the things that are the direct opposite of that.
Yeah.
And Britt and I are all about, like, healing. Like, what are all the things that we can do to heal on some level?
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, like, it's honesty. And Like, in full honesty, y'all, before I knew Marissa, I thought, dang, this girl's like killing it. Like, she has turned her story into a testimony. She's made this empire out there. And I'm looking at Mimi like, what have you done? Like, and, when I slid into her DMs, I'm like, she'll never get back to me, Like, she looks gorgeous all the time. She's so poised. She was Miss America. Like, she was Miss New York. Like, she was a thing. And, like, she seems like she is slaying this illness, like, taking names. And y'all, like, in total fairness to her and, like, to pump her up, she is truly all of those things. Y'all, like, what you do see on Instagram, she is 1,000,000,000% all those things. She is so incredible and kind-hearted. And she would, like, y'all, like, I've got to give my bestie some props. Like, she literally just sat down with a homeless woman on the side of the road and, like, gave her food and, like, heard her story and prayed with her. Like, in the middle of a flare-up. Like, girl really is amazing. And, like, if you love her, you, like, should love her for amazing reasons, right?
Thank you. That was very sweet.
But, like, and I love you. Like, and I love you, girl. Like, and you are so amazing. But now that I really know you, you are those things, but I see the whole story now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You
see
and
the hard.
Yeah, and it's not because you're trying to hide the hard. Like, I don't think that's what you're trying to do, like, on your Instagram and pretend everything is good. I really love that you talk about it. Like, you will take a selfie on your bad days, and, like, you post it. But it's like that comparison shame bug gets planted, and it's not because I'm really looking at you and saying, like, this is you. But when I look at your page, what I'm really looking at is my heart. And what I'm saying is, why can't I do better? And that's where the comparison comes in.
Well, Britt, thank you, first of all. I appreciate that. I think with Lupus Chick, I've always tried to be very transparent about, like, the good and the bad. But of course, like, the days that I feel good and I have more energy, I tend to post more and make more videos. But I think, like, what you're talking about, like, that's the crux of all of this is comparison when it's within the chronic illness community and to one another. I think that's where it gets really dangerous, because then it weaponizes our healing against ourselves, right?
Yeah,
it makes us question, like, our pace, our pain, our limits, like, what we're doing. And then we literally start attacking ourselves when we already have a body that's attacking ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like the emotional chronic illness, like the emotion autoimmunity. Like, we're rotting our own selves because it's convincing us that we're failing at something that's literally attacking us. Like, could you attack yourself better? Like, just
exactly.
Even that you're failing,
I mean, and the reality of things are, like, and I think you see this, as you get older and you mature, like, you're not behind, right? You're not lazy. You're not doing illness wrong. Like, your body is fighting a different battle. It has different variables from the other person. Like, for me, like, we always say, like, no two cases of lupus are exactly alike, right? So they have different variables. Like, we all have different thresholds. Someday I am a full functioning human. I can get like 20 things done. And the other days, I'm a pillow with a pulse. That was the last 3 days of my life.
Yes.
And that is just the nature of chronic illness.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you've ever thought, but they're sicker, but they're doing more, like, please hear this. Someone else's capacity doesn't diminish your courage. Like, you're still showing up. You're doing your version of hard. It doesn't diminish your strength. It's not diminishing your story or your right to rest.
Yeah, and Britt, I think we have to be really clear here. We cannot confuse inspiration with comparison, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Very different. There is a big difference between feeling really inspired and motivated by someone and feeling really wounded by something that you see.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, no, that's a good one right there. Because, right, like, you're true. Like, motivation can feel expansive. Like, wow, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that I could do that with having this illness. Maybe I can try something like that. Like, oh, I'm jazzed up to go. Like, woo, this is exciting. Or it can be that toxic comparison that it feels like a gut punch. Like, well, why can't I do that? And what's wrong with me then? Yeah, like that's huge. Yeah.
And I think there's a really easy way. Like if you're scrolling and then all of a sudden you start feeling like some emotions, you feel like you're draining or you're going up, right? If it lifts you up, like it's inspiring. It's motivating you in a positive way. But if you're starting to feel like it is crushing you and you're starting to feel less than, like, then you're getting stuck in this comparison cycle. You got to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like comparison for me, it's like, it's that shame spiral. And for me, it's always like, you're not doing enough. I see the gurus who are journaling and they're doing their breathing exercises and they're juicing, they're eating colorful meals. I don't know why that's a big thing for me, but it's just like, but you're getting all your vegetables in season. They're making their own breads and they like have a smile and they feel like they look like they're in total peace. And like, I'm trying not just to be a crazy mommy and get my fully ADHD family to actually put on their stinking clothes and brush their teeth so we're not late for mornings. Like, y'all, the amount of reminder alarms and verbal redirection I give in the morning is at comical level. Like, I will walk into my little boy's room 20 minutes after I've told him 15 times to do something, and I'll walk in and he's like naked on the floor. I'm like, what are you doing? And he'll go, I got distracted. Like, it's like, ah. And I compare my often like frenetic self due to the effects of, life and the medicines that I'm taking to like an Instagram reel with candlelight. And then of course I'm going to come out looking like I'm failing. Like there's no comparison there. And I'm not a good example then to you guys or my kids. And then I start to feel like, oh, you're just a fake now, like you're over there trying to give advice and look at you, and I try so hard to keep margin. Like that's the thing. Like I'm trying so hard to do these things to be at peace. But when I wake up in pain and I'm like moving at a sloth pace while simultaneously not trying to cry, it doesn't feel like I'm winning anything. Like it's just like, and down we go. Yeah. So like, what is yours, Marissa? Like, what is the thing that gets your shame spiral going?
I have a very weird relationship with movement and exercise because it has always been an issue for me since I was young. Just because even before I was diagnosed with lupus, I had severe asthma. So I'm not really good at any sports, although I recently found out I'm amazing at ping pong. But like, I mean, that clarifies the sport, right?
Yes.
So, but I think when I see people on social, and even in real life that, they can go to CrossFit and they just did this hour-and-a-half Zumba class and they look incredible. And I will try. And I mean, this has been such a big thing for me over the last 20 years. Every time I exercise, even if I go at literally a sloth's pace, I flare up so severely. And it's like, I have just tried and tried and tried, and I can see when I start seeing those pictures and those images and those videos for more than a few minutes, I feel terrible about my body. I mean, and the things that I tell myself are awful. And it's really cruel, and I'm really trying hard. So when I tell you I try to limit my social media now to I post for Lupus Chick, I try to respond to some people, and I get off immediately. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's self-care. Yeah. Knowing your limits, right? And we're going to get into these things, guys, like, okay, so we know we're comparing things, but how do we stop? How do we get a little bit of our life back? So we're going to take a real quick break, but please come back because we got so much more to say.
Trying to figure out what's triggering your symptoms but can't put your finger on it? Try Folia, a health tracking app to help you connect the dots and get to the bottom of what's going on. Download Folia Health free in the App Store with invite code LupusChick. Folia is the one app to track it all. Learn more at foliahealth.com/lupuscheck. That's FOLIA health.com/lupuscheck.
Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org. That's lupusne.org today.
Hey everyone, well thanks so much for coming back. So we're just gonna kind of jump in and we're gonna talk about why do we do this, right? Why do we compare? And why does it feel like it's so automatic in our brain, especially if we already know when we do this, it's harmful?
Because psychologists already say comparison is this hardwired function in the brain. So don't think of it as this moral failure. It's actually a survival tool just gone completely rogue.
Yes, very true. And part of that is actually involved with social comparison theory. So if you've never heard this, this was actually a theory that was proposed way back in 1954 by Leon Festinger. Hopefully I said that right. But basically it says that we constantly evaluate ourselves, our opinions, our ability, what our value is, and we do this by comparing ourselves to others. And it's basically how we figure out where we belong in the world, and I think also like what we're good at, what we're not as strong at. Like these are all the things that we learn, and we only learn that because we have something else to sort of measure it against.
Yeah, because comparison it's really a survival tool. Like you said, it's what am I good at? What am I not good at? It's not supposed to be this negative thing, but the unfortunate part is that it's not built for the digital age that we're actually living in. And especially not for people with chronic illness. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar famously proposed that humans can have like maybe about 150 meaningful relationships. Have you guys heard about this before? Have you heard this, Marissa?
Yeah.
So you have these like circles, right? And max is 150.
Okay.
So within that, you got the smallest circle, right? And that's about like 5 intimate relationships max. So this is including the people you deeply trust, your ride or dies. Like this is Marissa for me. Like this is my inner circle, my sanctum. Like they get it all, the good, the bad, and ugly. Then there's another circle that's on the outside, and that's about 15 of your closer friends. And this is people that you're going to turn to for support or deeper connections on things. People that, if somebody dies in your family, you're going to let them know and you're going to want them to be around you, but it's not like the person you want sleeping next to you at night to help you get through it, Then you have the broader circle, which is about 50 good friends. And those are friends you're going to invite to like a big birthday party. You know about them, maybe your kids interact with them, but they're not, really super close, just about like 50 of those. And then you have the 150 meaningful connections. These are people that you know and have, some ongoing interaction, right? That's the biggest circle on the outside. And that's it. That's game, set, match. But we're built for these smaller tribes. We're built to only be able to handle the information that comes from this amount of people. But for how many of us, when you look at your Instagram or your Facebook or your TikTok, how many of you have more than 150 friends or followers or people who like your stuff, right? I mean, like we have so much more that we are comparing ourselves to as opposed to the 150 that we're really only meant to actually sustain. We're not meant for the thousands, if not the millions of the curated highlight reels and the abs and the meal prep and the vacation photos and the perfect little healing routines. Like we're just not meant to hold all that info.
No, I mean, honestly, it's social media. It has its great points. I mean, it is truly overload. I mean, I feel like different emotions, different chemicals get triggered when we see certain things, and we're seeing them at a level that has never been done before, right?
Right.
And I feel like this is why so many people are struggling. And then obviously add in chronic illness, and it's like, oof, it's like a whole other level.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker, like that part of your brain that actually compares you to others, the medial prefrontal cortex, it is also the part that's involved with our identity, our self-worth, our emotional regulation. So when that comparison gets triggered, right, like it's no surprise that like your whole sense of self actually begins to spiral.
Yeah. I mean, how many of us have a trauma background, right? Like, because when you take this in at its best, it can still be pretty damaging. But then you add trauma to it, and it's a real gross smoothie. Like, most of us have trauma, and that's not just the chronic illness. That's other things that have happened to our lives, the losses that we've had and sustained, and the things that we've gone through in our childhood wounds, right? So if you're the kind of person whose internalized messages like, I'm not good enough, or I'm always behind, like, welcome to the club. So the neural pathways are just always so ready to light up the second that it sees someone else doing better, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to just completely agree with this lie that I'm keep making.
True. And I think for those people that are living with chronic illness, right? We all obviously deal with some level of that comparison message, but in a way I feel like it does hit harder. We were just talking about that because deep down, it's like every time you see something, right? It's like these little pokes, right? It's like your little Facebook pokes, but these are like not pokes.
Yeah.
A lot of those Facebook pokes you do not want to get. Let's just be honest. You're like, ew, why is this person poking at me? But deep down, these are all poking at trauma, right? And at the wounds and at the lies that we've told ourselves since we've got a diagnosis. And they're just whispering like, oh, you used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know if you'll ever be able to do that again, like in the, how you are right now, physically how you are right now, or that's completely out of my reach at this point. I mean, and it just doesn't end. It keeps, these lies, it's different for everyone, but there's something that your brain is telling you that is negative.
Yeah. Or should be able to do that by now.
Yeah. And that's a really hard one, right? Because you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. Like, we see people on Instagram or social media, and it might be the first time that we're seeing their page, right? We don't know where we're coming in at their story. We don't know if someone sees me today, they don't know, like, over 10 years ago I was in a wheelchair. It looks very different, right? So then your brain starts telling you this story of, well, they seem like they're healing really well, or they seem like they're so much better, so much stronger. What's wrong with me? Why am I not at that point yet? Well, we have no idea. Are they 20 years in, or are they 3 weeks in? Like, we don't know. And your brain isn't taking all of that information into account, because honestly, most time on social media, we have no idea what people's real backstory is, right?
Yeah.
Unless we're digging and going through all of their stuff. But we make up this scenario, and then your brain's like, well, why am I not at this level yet?
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, and let's just take a moment with that one, right? Because I think that's probably the root of the hardest part of chronic illness. Because if you just take the iceberg, analogy, and you look at comparison, you think, oh, it's envy, that's just what it is. But if you're digging down deeper, especially, the painful, chronic, toxic comparison, it's not really envy at its core. It's really self-hatred, right? And that's something that if you've been dealing with chronic illness or lots of trauma, like, that's already going to be a pretty big trigger for you, because you're already dealing with a life crisis of who am I, and you feel like everything's falling apart. And then you add in this comparison, and it's really just tapping that self-hatred, that quiet voice inside whispering, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. And that is a absolutely devastating voice. And it's not just that someone else is, doing better, or at least that's what your brain's telling you. It's that we automatically interpret it to mean that it's actually about us. I'm broken, I'm failing, I'm way behind, I should be here, I should be doing this, I can't believe that I'm not able to do X, right? And it is like this assault on ourselves, basically.
Yeah. It's like we're taking the own, whip and slapping ourselves in the back, and using it like the comparison whip, because it's becomes this tool for proving our worst fears. It's not like to motivate us. It's just like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're not even comparing for the sense of, growth or insight anymore. That's out the window. We're comparing to confirm our own shame narrative. And shame loves, goodness, like, its favorite fodder is to use your own story against you.
True.
Especially when you are sick. I mean, like, it's just going to be like, oh, see her and look at you, And especially when we're tired, like we said before, you're not going to be creating great narratives when you're exhausted. It's not the time to deep dive into your emotional wounds and your childhood trauma, right? You know? So when we're grieving this version of us that existed before the pain, like it's just shame narratives that are just tagging on.
Well, and I just want to add in here, like, obviously there are times that social media and seeing other people, like, there can be that inspiration, right? I mean, even just years ago, like when I started Lupus Chick, it's like, because I saw like other people speaking out, and I was like, okay, that speaks to me, and I think I could do that. I think I'm ready at a point in this, post-diagnosis world that I feel like I could speak out, right? So that was inspirational. However, pretty much every person I talk to, and I'd say like 99% women, tell me that they really try to limit their social media because they feel terrible after they scroll for a little while, okay? And our brain automatically always tries to default to the negative anyway, right? It's always like, how can I keep us safe? I'm going to protect you. So yes, it's not that you can't get like a little inspiration, but oftentimes that's not what happens. So let's actually dig into the science behind that a little bit and what comparison does to the brain. So there's a University of Michigan study, and they talk about upward comparison, right? So that's comparing yourself to someone that you see as better, whatever you think of as better in your brain. So when you do that, right, it activates this reward pathway that you have, and it also correlates with, every time this happens, they've seen in studies, it correlates with you having increased feelings of depression, increased anxiety, and inadequacy about yourself. So what does that all mean? Every time your brain gets that little ping of attention when you scroll past a girl that maybe has the most beautiful skin, or she just did a 4-mile run, right? It also at the same time is starting to shut down your self-esteem at the same moment.
Yeah, I mean, and to add on to, the research on this, Stanford even found that even 5 minutes of scrolling curated images, and remember, like Marissa was saying, when she started on Instagram a while ago, we didn't have reels then. We didn't have the filters like we have, right? Like, this is a different version of life that we're experiencing. So when we're talking curated, we're talking like super curated. Yeah. All these images and this social media, it can significantly reduce, we're not elevating, reduce positive mood and life satisfaction. Yeah. Like that's what the research is finding.
I mean, and that's because I feel like we all know, like, and listen, I worked in media for 20 years. Like, everything's a photo op, right? Everything's a press opportunity. And now, I mean, there are literally influencers and books and workshops you can take online of how to make your photos look perfect, whether you're taking photos of food or you're taking photos of yourself, right? Like, how to curate this perfect, like, Instagram profile that when people go to it, it's like, oh my gosh, like, her life looks literally picture perfect, right? Yeah. There is so much work that is going into that. Like, we know that behind the scenes, like, it's true, right? We hear it all the time. But we also know that when we're scrolling, our brain is like not taking that into account. It's, well, she looks really healthy, or she was able to travel and he was able to do this, and I'm stuck in bed, right? Yeah. I just had an infusion. I can't move. I wasn't able to work, like, right? It's instantaneous. So if you ever felt worse after being online, what I'm trying to tell you is, like, you're not crazy, right? We're living in a world, in a system that literally profits off making you feel like you're not good enough too. Like, we have to recognize that as well. Like, I feel like we're all pawns in this game.
Yeah. And it's really hard because, like, even for Marissa and I, if we don't play the game, people don't want to look at the stuff, right? We're so ingrained in what has been curated and magically colored and beauty and all this stuff that if you don't play the game, you don't get looked at. So right. it's this like continuing cycle. But when we forget the game's not real, that's when the problem comes in, because comparison makes us feel so bad about ourselves that it's really hard to love ourselves, especially as we are, or others, if we're always in that, like, they're doing better or that's better, it takes our focus off of our actual needs, and it just puts it onto performance. And that's all that matters. Performance and perception. This is what really matters.
Absolutely. And while it's doing that, right, it's creating this false urgency to change who we are just so that we can finally be enough in someone else's eyes, right? There's no freedom in that. Like, we're literally putting ourselves into emotional slavery. And so with all of that, like, how do we protect ourselves? Because social media, all of this, it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think 5 years from now, we're going to be in a very scary place with all of this.
Yeah. This isn't
We won't
getting
even
better.
know what's real at that point, because girl, there are AI pictures at this point that look,
Yeah.
you know, we already know people are making literally accounts of fake human beings that don't exist, but they look like just you and I.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you asked the question, like, how do we protect ourselves? And yeah, I mean, it's not something like glamorous or sexy, you know, and I'm not going to make a carousel about it. It's just boundaries. Like, y'all, like, that's what we have to do. We have to realize where we're being violated and put in boundaries. We got to put in emotional boundaries and digital boundaries and spiritual boundaries. You know, Proverbs 4:23 says, like, above all else, okay? This is sirens, this is exclamation points everywhere. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So, like, y'all, God is saying, like, the biggest thing about us is our heart, and we need to guard it fiercely, because if comparison is in it, if envy, if self-hatred is in it, what's coming out? Because it isn't good. So it's like, you wouldn't hand your phone to a stranger. I mean, we're like, "Go take a picture," but not like, you want to hold this? You know, like, we wouldn't do that. So we need to stop handing them pieces of our heart and our peace. Like, we wouldn't do that. And so we need to start valuing our hearts over our iPhones.
Yes, girl, that sentence, right? Like, if I wouldn't hand someone my phone, or like, I wouldn't give them the keys to my life, right? But in 5 minutes, I'm giving a bunch of strangers that I probably only know like really 2% of them. I'm giving them a lot of my peace. I'm giving them a lot of my bandwidth. I'm giving them a lot of my just emotional space that I have available for that day. And it's all life suckers, right? We just talked about energy vampires. I mean, that's a huge part. These two episodes go hand in hand. So one, like you were talking about, like, we have to start with being aware. So as always, like, Britt and I made this sort of user-friendly plug and play for the brain fog, right? A comparison detox guide. So if you will, what does this guide actually look like? Well, first thing, notice what your triggers are. When do you feel like that comparison? What is it that you're walking away from that you are like, I don't really feel so good after that? Is it a 5-10 minute time on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok? Is it a certain friend or person you know that, you know, maybe you even know the backstory of their life, but what is being putting out, like, you still feel just not right, like, in your heart? Is it a certain conversation? Like, name what that is. And that might change. Like, it might change from day to day, but at least you're starting to notice. And also, like I was talking about with my friends, really try to limit your scroll time. I mean, they say a lot of times like 30 minutes a day. I'd say try to get that down to 15 or 20 minutes a day. And have days off, right? Say like every weekend I'm going to fast like from social media, or, you know, I'm only going to try to go on it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's hard. Like, I know for me, there are, when I do like social media fasts, I will actually delete the Instagram or Facebook app off my phone totally for about a month. And for the first day or two, I keep picking up my phone to go to it. And then by like day 3, my brain knows it's not there. And then I start picking up more books. I start reading more. I start doing, you know, like more painting. I actually start engaging in stuff, right?
Yeah.
And by like the 30th day, I'm like, wow, you know, at least in the past, I've wasted so much time on there. But let me tell you, it has really helped me. Now, especially for Lupus Chick, I get on, I post, I respond to people, I get off. Because I know what's happening. I know what will happen. Also, I think you need to really curate your feed, okay? We have to talk about like following people who make you feel like yourself, not less, not make you feel bad. Yes, there are people that you can, you know, that inspire you or whatnot. Just be really aware of certain people that keep coming up in your feed, that every time you see something from them, you're feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to unfollow them for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, and also obviously practicing gratitude. Britt, you and I have talked about this a lot on past episodes, and it might seem like so strange or silly, but like, even if you just write 3 things down or text them to yourself or keep a little journal on your phone if you don't like handwritten journals, but like every day, like 3 things that you actually love about like your life and that you love, you know, about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And at first you might be like,
huge.
this is so corny, but I go back and I look at some of my old journals and I'm like, there's a lot of like, I call them the small wins of life, right? There's a lot of them. And when you go back and read them all, it's like, my life's pretty amazing. It's hard, but like it's hard and it's also really amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest thing is, and this takes intentional work and it's not going to happen the first time, you have to learn how to interrupt that spiral when you start having those thoughts, right? When they come in, you need to just stop it and say, like, are these things that I'm telling myself, are they going to help me grow? Are they going to help me improve? Like, is this filling up my cup, right? Is this feeding my heart? Is this feeding my soul? Or is this making me shrink back? Is this making me feel really bad about myself? Is this making me feel depressed for the rest of the day?
Yeah.
Because that's instantaneous. And then it needs to go.
Yeah. We have to break agreement. Like, we got to stop it. You got to stop the line somewhere. And I would add to that list, like, we've got to create margin. You know, you don't have to consume every post and every opinion and every, you know, update, because really not everything is for your soul. You know, as we're recording this, we've had 2 significant, you know, murders in the United States, you know, and it's a lot for the human soul. Whatever line you land on there, it's a lot to consume and take in. Like, we don't need to hold all that. You can and should mute, unfollow, and log off. Like, you need to do it for your own sake, like your body and your mind. And I mean, no joke, and this was before, you know, the stuff that just happened, but I just had to unfollow or just really mute, you know, an account I love. But I had to mute them for a while. And it wasn't because they were posting things I didn't agree with or anything. But sometimes in life, when you choose a path that is hard, like, you know, do you guys get what I'm saying? And it's like, I've chosen to do this and it may not be the popular opinion, or it's just a really hard thing for me to do. But in that moment, you have to surround yourself with people who are going that way. Because if you're constantly surrounding yourself with the people who are like, you're never going to make it and that wasn't a good choice, like, it's going to make whatever is hard super hard. And it's going to be so easy then to turn back and change direction. So when you're deciding, like, this is the way I'm going to go, you know, if you're choosing the glory of your story, right, the one that God is really writing for you, then following people who are going that way is going to be imperative. It is going to be like, you have to. There's no other way. It has to do it because you need people to give you life to keep going. And so sometimes when someone's going in a different way or contrary to the way that you're going, like, muting them for a while, just to be like, I need to have encouragement to keep going forward. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart.
Yeah, and honestly, I think especially with all that has happened in the last 10 days in just here in the United States, I mean, and obviously there's so much going on overseas as well. There's so many of us that you just feel off and things feel really heavy, right? And honestly, God did not mean for us to be bombarded, first of all, with horrific video, horrific images that you might be trying to shield your eyes from. Look, I try a lot because those things tend to replay in my brain and they make me, they just grieve my heart. But we're in a world where you just can't even just pop onto social media. It's immediate and you might not even be looking for it. And then it's like, whoa, I never wanted to see this.
Yeah.
And now I can't get it out of my brain. And now on top of it, whatever side again that you're on, you're seeing horrific things being said, being put out there, being wished upon on other people, right?
Yeah.
You're just seeing evil being wished upon on people that usually these people don't even really know.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really hard for our heart. But I also feel that social media, it becomes a pattern in our life. Britt and I are old enough where we grew up where we didn't have this technology.
Yeah. No.
So it wasn't a part of our daily life. Your daily life and your daily unit were the people basically that were the closest in your family and in your neighborhood, your neighbors, and who you were on the school bus with, and maybe who was in your classroom. Like that was the extent really of your circle. And you know, I find in these times, like I feel like my circle starts to get smaller and smaller because I realize I do have to really, and I have in the last few days, put some really strong boundaries around some people. And it's not that I don't love them as a human being, but I can't have those things infiltrating in my brain and my sight every single day.
Yeah.
Our life is already so hard.
Yeah. Yes.
And I don't feel like, you know, Britt and I are on this exploration in life of making life more joy-filled and not so much easier, but we're not trying to invite more evil or hard into our life, right?
Yeah.
So like she said, if you get off of your social media for a while, like it's not the end of the world. I promise you by day 3, you're going to be like, you know, you're going to be onto something else at that point. Your body starts to break that pattern. So
Yeah.
comparison will always knock, right? But you do not have to answer. Just like you do not have to be on social, you do not even have to have a social media profile, you do not have to respond to comments that are hate-filled. You do not have to watch things that, you know, are going to grieve your spirit. I don't think that God wanted any of that for any of us.
No.
So again, things, and it's not even just comparison. There will be so many things in your life that come knocking at your door and at your heart, and you don't have to answer to any of those that are taking away from your life. You just do not. You don't owe any of them anything.
No, because we don't have to prove our worth anymore. We don't have to outperform or out-heal somebody or out-smile somebody. That's done. Like, we're done with that now. Like, this is the next stage in your life. And here's the benefit of chronic illness. There is a benefit. You don't have to pretend anymore. Y'all, you don't have to perform anymore. Like, take that as the benefit where you can start putting in your margins and say, you know what? I'm enough because I am. And that's it. That's it. That's all you have to do.
And it's funny, Britt, because we wrote these notes for this episode before any of all of this happened, right? And our challenge was, it's time to clean things up in your life, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, now I feel like it even hits so much harder just for anyone, whether or not you have a chronic illness, right? But is what you're doing online, or is who you're following bringing you affirmations of who you are and who you believe that you are growing to be, right?
Yeah.
Or is it making you feel less than? Is it making you feel physically not good? Is it making you mentally feel not well? Then you know in your heart and your spirit what you need to do next. It is time to clean. I do feel like it is time to clean up life on so many levels. So I feel like this episode came at the perfect time.
Yes. Because y'all, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not look, is not engage in the Twitter war, or whatever it is, to put the phone down, to stop reading the comment thread and just come back to your own body, your own family, to hug those you love a little tighter and just be in your own present, you know, your own reality and into your own healing, because that's enough. That's enough. What you're holding right now is totally enough. You don't need more.
Yeah. I mean, it took me years, but I can say like it's solid in my life at this point. I am very vocal about obviously my everyday life and what I live with, what I struggle with. I'm also very vocal about my faith. But there is absolutely no engagement. I will not engage. One, I won't engage in commentary and going back and forth and having to prove to you why I'm sick, or how in what way I'm sick, right? Or how I struggle, because you don't live with me, you don't live in my body, you don't live in my home, you don't see like my daily life. I don't have to have that conversation back and forth, and it's really not a conversation today. It's just these heated arguments where no one's listening to each other of what I believe and why. Those that are closest to me know, and those that are closest to you know, right? Like you don't have to engage in any of that, because like we talked about in our last episode of energy vampires, you have a limited amount of energy when you have chronic illness. So if your umbrella is I'm focusing on my own healing, right? And what is for me in this life, and what is my purpose, and what am I supposed to be doing here, and how do I get to that next level of healing? And if your umbrella is focusing on my own healing, that little amount of energy you have cannot be spent on the things that are taking life away from you.
Yes. Girl, yes. That's it. I mean, we can end the episode now.
Okay, guys, it's good talking to you.
Okay, thanks. Bye, guys. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, we're not here to compete. We're here to survive, And, if you've ever found yourself, honestly, guys, like comparing your journey to ours, maybe thinking that we're doing sick better than you somehow, if you've ever looked at our Instagrams and walked away feeling less than, we just want to say this really clearly to you. Like that was not our intention, and we're really sorry. Like truly. Like we really want you to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's never our intention. Like we try to really be as raw and honest with you, because we don't ever want someone to feel less than just, yeah, okay, we're talking into a microphone. We have quirky personalities. We throw in a few jokes. We also have really good lighting and makeup and video and audio that edits everything, and again, like we also try to show you, okay, today might be okay. Maybe I'm operating at like a 6 or 7. But also when I'm operating at a 2 or 3, I also want to show that to you as well. Like this is real life.
Yeah. Because what you see online, that's like maybe 4% of our reality.
Right.
Like think about it. Like when you look at a reel of, what we've done for 30 seconds, a minute and a half, like, I'm not good at math, but that is like a minute part of my entire day.
Yeah.
And the rest of it looks like panic texting Marissa, about like my symptoms, crying into, my breakfast and rescheduling all my plans, praying that the new medication that I just tried doesn't backfire at me again, and that I'm not like, frenetic from the energy it's giving me. Like that's the majority of my day.
That's real life. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we showed like screenshots of our text thread, it's literally
the FBI would get on there.
Yeah, you'd be like, are these two okay? It's literally, hey girl, can you just pray for me because I just ate something and I'm having trouble breathing and I don't know if I'm having like an allergic reaction or my body's just shutting down, and then I'm like, well, yes, and can you also pray for me because I just woke up for some reason in level 10 pain, and I have an ice pack on my chest and a heat pack on my back, and I can't get out of bed, and I have an appointment in 20 minutes, and it's like, it's a hot mess. I mean, this is every day. This is not like once a week that we're texting this. Like,
right.
So we do not have this figured out. And I don't, like, here's the thing. No one does. Like, absolutely no one, right? We're not some model of perfectly managed chronic illness. Like, we are just relearning how to thrive. And the funny thing is, like, Lupus Chick was originally called the Lupus Survival Guide, because that is all my brain was focused on in those first, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And then I did a lot of work, and things in my life started to change, and I was able to like learn how to manage my symptoms and my medications and all of these things, right? You learn this over time. And then I started to feel like, okay, I wasn't just stuck in this survival mode every day. I was actually starting to thrive once again in different areas of my life. And that's what our hope is through our pages and through our podcast is you are going, if you're newly diagnosed, like we promise you, there is going to be a moment when you're like, oh, like I'm actually starting to find some joy again. I'm actually starting to do this again. And you're slowly beginning to, it's like a flower, and you're starting to thrive and blossom.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not trying to like paint this picture like and then you won't have any symptoms anymore. Like that may not be the case for you. It's not been the case for us yet, and we still hold on, that we can go into full remission or that we could have some healing, but
Yeah.
there's probably still going to be moments even in your thriving that you're going to struggle to get out of bed like we do. Girl, I had to 5 4 3 2 1 myself out of bed this morning. I was like, I got this. Just get up. You got this, like
Yeah.
we don't take our own advice sometimes. Yeah, we have microphones, but there's times where I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, I just told people not to do that. Like I cry. We cry a lot, but then we wipe our tears. We reapply our, organic gluten-free mascara and we get back up. Like we do it just like you guys do. We're just like you.
Yeah. So whatever it is, I think this is a reminder for all of us, even just me and Britt, we do not see the whole picture when we're online. We do not see the whole picture when we're listening to a podcast. Here,
Yeah.
you're just seeing slivers of women that are trying to do their best and that we're trying to keep showing up in a world that this world does not pause for people that are sick.
No. So again, if we've ever made you feel like you're behind or that you're not enough or like you're failing at being sick, like we're really sorry. You are not behind. You are not doing it wrong. You are walking your own way and your own path, and that matters. And we want to hear from you because we want your advice too.
And listen, comparison is really sneaky. It often disguises itself as motivation, but more often than not, it is really just shame dressed up in a new outfit with some glitter. And that shame was never meant to guide your life.
Yeah.
All of us, we deserve so much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, we deserve to measure our lives by our own values, not someone else's highlight reel. Your worth isn't up for debate based on how productive you are or how well you're managing your illness or how curated your social media looks like. Your worth is not based on that.
Amen to that. I mean, think about how many social media marketing agencies are out there that are their entire job is to just make someone's social media look unbelievable. They are living the life, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money that goes behind that, right? And it can just wreak so much havoc on our physical body and also our mental state. So we want to invite you to unsubscribe from the lie that you're behind, that myth that everyone else is doing it better than you, and all of the pressure that you need to perform your life for anyone else's approval because you 1000% do not.
Yeah, because from this day forward, we are unsubscribing from the voice that says you should be further along. And we're going to subscribe to the truth that says you're doing beautifully with what you've been given.
Yep.
Full sentence.
Yes. Listen, you're not too much, right? You're not enough. You're a human being. Human beings are messy and complicated and wonderful, and that's who we are.
Yeah, and we're proud of you. We're proud of you for staying and for trying again and for resting and for showing up today.
Yes. So we love you, friends. Thanks for spending another episode with us. Protect your peace. Be gentle with your heart. And remember, no one else can live your story. So do a cleanse, clean it up, and, let us know how it goes. You can reach out to us at I'd Like to Unsubscribe on Instagram.
All right. See you guys.